hello, 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 hello. I'm having a little bit of I'm having a little bit of trouble getting started today. Come on, Jack, get it together. Raging bull. No matter which way the wind blows, it's always cold when you're alone. In your mother's basement, it's very cold down here. It's like winter. I'm shooting this video today from my mother's basement. How many young, hopeful YouTubers' careers have begun with just such a statement? And here I am making mine. I have new equipment that I'm shooting this on. A cell phone I have purchased because my computer broke and I couldn't shoot any more videos on it. Some of you were very generous, gave me money. I have used it on this phone. And I spent the whole morning playing with it. What the fuck? And now I've got no energy to shoot this video. Let's get started. Now, giving. That's the topic of today's talk. It's the principle of giving from the Zen perspective. Giving has two aspects or sides or qualities. The initiating or expansive aspect and the contractive or receiving aspect, okay? And my mentor used to say that you have to be able to do both of these sides, manifest both of these qualities, initiation and reception, equally. He would say, look, if you can only initiate, then you're a tyrant. But if you can only receive, then you're a victim. So we're going to approach this Zen principle of giving from the perspective of the most basic Zen practice, which is Zazen. And we're going to go through it like in slow motion, and I'm going to try and hit some really important points. So wake up, as we used to say in the Zendo. So forget about robes, forget about incense, forget about your meditation timer, forget about fancy meditation cushions, okay? You go into your living room, you fold a pillow in half, you sit down on it. What distinguishes Zen sitting from just sitting on your behind and daydreaming? What is Zazen? What is Zen meditation? Are you supposed to follow the breath? Are you supposed to mindfully note thoughts and emotions that arise and then let them go? Are you supposed to do nothing? Stop thinking? More or less, I would say yes to all the above, but I want to go simpler, deeper, and into something more basic. So there's a great saying that the mind is a really good servant, but a terrible master. So when you sit Zazen, you're putting the mind in its proper place as a servant and not the master. Okay, but how do you do this? Through the gift or tool of attention. That's such an important word. Attention. When you sit, you're giving the mind away. You're giving the self, yourself, away completely, okay? It's a really interesting concept. It's like, bring yourself back to your if you were raised religious, your religious childhood when they had altars. Remember we used to sacrifice things on altars way back in our evolutionary prehistory, right? Lambs to God. We would sacrifice something that we care about to the divine principle. Well, guess what? In Zazen, we're kind of doing that. What we're sacrificing is ourselves. We're giving ourselves away. When you sit Zazen, or when you meditate, as you may have noticed, your mind goes nuts. Worries, anxieties, fears, emotions, thoughts about work, family, spouse, politics, deep-seated fears. All this stuff comes up when you sit. And your job when you're sitting Zazen is not to stop this flow of thoughts. It's not to stop the mind or stop this activity. How else could you control or master the mind but with the mind? Okay? Classic Zen saying, can't wash blood off your hands with more blood. Okay, so we're at like, we come to an interesting point here now, because what do we do? What do we do? There's nothing the mind can do. There's nothing the thinking, emoting, feeling, churning, logical, imaginative, creative, mathematical, scientific, artistic mind can do to help you properly sit Zazen. The only thing it can do is get out of the way. Any other thing that the mind does turns it into the master and not the servant. So when we give ourselves or minds away through the act of focused concentration or paying attention, it can really feel like a kind of death. And this is why meditation can be so hard sometimes. You're letting everything go. You came to the cushion with all this energy, and suddenly the challenge of meditation is telling you, let it all go. Give it away. One of the beautiful things about what I was taught about meditation is it's proactive, okay? So you can't empty your mind. You can't let it go, okay? You can give it away. This is very difficult to do, obviously, because we really just don't feel like we should ever stop thinking, okay? That feels like self-murder, okay? We don't feel like we should stop being aware of ourselves, okay? The idea that we have to forget ourselves is terrifying, but that is exactly what Zen practice is. It is forgetting the self, okay? There's Dogen's great quote about this. I have it here, I'm gonna read it. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be actualized by myriad things. When actualized by myriad things, your body and mind and the body and mind of others drop away. No trace of enlightenment remains, and this no trace continues endlessly. So now we return to that beautiful phrase, paying attention. I like the paying attention better than the word focus, because paying attention, it feels more like you're connecting rather than you're solving a math problem. Okay, so I don't know how attention works. I don't know what my brain looks like on Zazen, okay? I don't know where attention comes from or how it got there or what's going on when I'm manifesting it, okay? But we all know what it means to pay attention to something. When we're writing, painting, kissing, hugging, involved in a great conversation, when we're doing some part of our job that we really love and are good at, when we're in the zone, we're in the flow state, they call it now, we're fully paying attention, okay? And another way of saying pay attention is we're giving ourselves completely. And it's really easy it comes really naturally to give ourselves completely and to pay attention to the things and people that we love, to the activities that we love doing. But when it comes to the things and people and activities that we don't love to do, it becomes pretty hard to pay attention. Like there's some wall that's erected between us and what we're doing, or the jerk we're having a conversation with, or the bad smell on the street, right? We can't connect. We can't give ourselves to it. Now, Zen practice tells us something very interesting. What it tells us is, and it's unique and it's beautiful. You ready? What it tells us is, it's not the things or the people in and of themselves that are beautiful and worthy of your attention. The fact that you can give your attention away is in and of itself what makes the experience work. So what Zen teaches us and what Zazen teaches us is how to give ourselves away to everything that we do, okay? So that we can find the same peace in having a difficult conversation than we have in having an easy conversation, okay? Because it has nothing to do with the person being cool or a jerk. It has to do with whether or not we can give ourselves completely to the conversation and the person and dissolve completely into the situation. So again, let's go back to that meditation cushion. You've sat down. You're not allowed to wander off into brilliant and beautiful thoughts. You're not allowed to get lost in sad and difficult feelings. You're not allowed to do anything mental. So what do? The breath. That's what you're giving yourself to. That's what you're dissolving in completely. Now remember I talked about initiation and reception. So when you exhale, that's an example, that's a manifestation of initiation, okay? So you exhale completely and you're releasing yourself into the world. You're giving, I've told you this before, I'm sorry. You know, I've often said that anybody who talks about Zen with any kind of competence only has like one or two talks in them. So no matter how many of these YouTube videos I do, it will always only more or less be about the same thing. When you exhale completely, your inside world is coming out. It's initiation. You're putting yourself into the world. You're showing up. You're walking down the staircase. All eyes are on you. This is initiation or expansion. You exhale completely. And when you're putting your mind into this and you're dissolving your mind into this. People often ask me like, am I supposed to be thinking about the breath, or am I thinking about it at the nostrils, or am I focusing on the chest? No, none of that. You're doing breathing. There's no nothing. Doing. There's no such thing as Zen practice. When you're doing Zen practice correctly, it's gone. It disappears. Everything disappears. When you're hugging your mom, when you haven't seen her in a long time, you're not thinking about it, okay? You're doing it. So you exhale completely. You initiate completely. And then that activity comes to a natural end. If it kept trying to go forward, you would get sick. Then you inhale completely. Okay, and now you're receiving, okay? This is the receptive activity, and you're being filled with the outside world, okay? It's listening. It's taking in. It's absorbing. It's like just being there and receiving completely, okay? So now we've, in one sit, one exhale and inhale, we've manifested the principle of giving, okay? We initiated and we received. We initiate and receive. And we do these completely, and this is the act of giving. In order for your respiratory system and also your zazen meditation to be in balance, you have to exhale completely and inhale completely. And in the same way, in order for a human being, a human life to be in balance, you have to be able to initiate completely, and you have to be able to receive completely. I'm pooped. A lot of people have been really supportive and are continuing to support me on Patreon. You're helping me do this and keep this going. Every time I get that email notification saying I've got a new Patreon supporter, like it just makes me want to get down in my mom's basement, which is right now about at absolute zero in terms of temperature, and shoot another video. So, if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe and the like button. And if you can support me on Patreon or PayPal, that would be great.